Hi grade 8s and welcome to day 4 of Poetry Week. It is our second last day, so let's get started. Today we're going to learn about a poem called the Clerihew. A Clerihew is a light-hearted poem consisting of 2 couplets and a specific rhyming scheme. A couplet is a pair or set of lines in a poem that typically rhyme and have the same rhythm, right? Couplets are successive to one another, meaning that the one line that couples the first line comes directly after that first line, and it falls directly in line with a specific rhyming scheme. So the rhyming scheme of a Clerihew is AABB, right? AA is your first couplet and BB is your second couplet. You'll see when we do our example, we'll shed a little bit more light on this subject. I don't want to ponder too much on it here, right? And then a Clerihew is a humorous or funny poem about a specific person. A Clerihew has 4 rules. The first rule is a Clerihew is only 4 lines long. The second rule is it has to have a rhyming scheme of AABB, right, which falls in line with the fact that a Clerihew has 2 couplets, which we'll see now in our example. The third rule is the first line has to introduce the specific person. Remember that a Clerihew is about a specific person, right? So every Clerihew that is written is about a specific person, right? And then the fourth rule is a Clerihew should be funny. Remember in our definition of a Clerihew, it said it's a light-hearted poem. It's a humorous poem. So whoever you're talking about, you have to make it funny. You have to make it humorous. So let's take a look at our example. Right? Kanye West dresses the best because when he went shopping, he spent more than 50 cents. Okay, that's really silly, but you can clearly see who the poem is about and why the poem is funny. So let's analyze the poem. Okay, we're going to analyze the poem in line with the rules that we have, right? So remember, our first rule is a Clerihew is only 4 lines long. We can see that this Clerihew is clearly only 4 lines long. You can see I've numbered the lines down on the left-hand side. The second rule of a Clerihew, remember, is that it has to have a rhyming scheme of AABB. Right, now, I don't want you to be intimidated by this. The rhyming scheme of a poem is basically just the pattern of the rhyming words in a poem, right? Some poems don't rhyme at all and therefore don't have a rhyming scheme, but many poems do rhyme. And so that pattern, the pattern of the words that rhyme within a poem, are labeled or classified according to letters of the alphabet. So we start with A and we work our way through the alphabet. As you progress through high school, your rhyming schemes are going to get more and more intricate and more diverse, right? But you're basically going to label words that rhyme with the same letter of the alphabet. So you can see here in the example, I've highlighted them nice and clearly for you. So you can clearly see that the words west and best rhyme, right? So those are our first bit of rhyming words. It is our first rhyming couplet. Remember that a couplet is a set of lines, right, that come successively after one another that rhyme. So Kanye West dresses the best. West and best are clearly your first 2 rhyming words, so we're going to assign them with the letter A, right? Because he went shopping, he spent. Now you've got to ask yourself, does the word spent rhyme with west and best? It's very clear that it does not. So you're going to assign spent, you're going to assign the letter B, right, to the word spent, right, because it's your next set of rhyming words. It does not rhyme with your first 2 words, west and best, which we've assigned the letter A to. So you now assign your next letter, which is B, right? So because he went shopping, he spent more than 50 cents, okay? Right, so spent and cent are your next bit of rhyming words, or your next set of rhyming words. It's also your next couplet, right, within a Clerihew, right? And so you're going to assign the letter B. You can clearly see now on the side, if you look at your rhyming words, we've got AA, BB, right? So we fulfilled the rule, or we've adhered to the rule that the rhyming couplets have to have the rhyming scheme of AA and BB, right? And we've also fulfilled the rule that a Clerihew has two couplets, and our couplets is line 1 and 2 and line 3 and 4 respectively. Then if we take a look at our third rule, that the first line has to introduce the specific person about whom the poem is written about, right? It is Kanye West. So that's very clear in this poem. Okay, and remember our fourth rule is that a Clerihew should be funny. It should be light-hearted. It should be humorous. I'm sure many of you caught on to the humor of the poem, but if you didn't, right, the poem is discussing the rapper, Kanye West, right, who dresses the best because he's spending more than 50 cents, right? Now this can be interpreted two ways, right? Kanye West dresses better than anybody else around him because he's willing to spend more than 50 cents, talking about money, right? Or you can take the second meaning of the poem, which is the humorous meaning of the poem, is Kanye West dresses better than anybody else because he spends more than 50 cents, talking about 50 Cent the rapper. So it's basically comparing Kanye West and 50 Cent to one another. You are now going to write your own Clerihew, bearing in mind that you have to adhere to those 4 rules that we've just discussed. Your theme for your Clerihew is grandparents. All right, so you have 2 options. The first option is you can just put grandma, grandpa, opa, oma, or whatever in the first line as the specific person that you're talking about. Or you can use the actual name of one of your grandparents. Please bear in mind while writing your Clerihew that you have to follow all of the rules that have been set. Let's get started.